in order to gain his parental rights over the child. Now, his attorneys saying to us previously that he faced the possibility of his newborn being placed in the foster care system despite having a positive DNA test proving that he was the biological father of the child. Now, the steps to this lawsuit was to ensure that the child would go to him in a legal manner and wouldn't be placed in the foster care system. He was granted those parental rights. Today's news conference centers around calls for change in Georgia state law. Now, the family has been for months saying that they wanted to have a say in whether or not to take their daughter off of life support when they wanted to and not have to wait for the newborn, for the child to be born. Of course, the father, we're expecting to hear from his attorneys talking about the lawsuit aspect of having to posthumously sue the mother of his child after her passing. We are still waiting, as you can see, for remarks to begin right now. The law office, an empty room just behind the camera, our journalists waiting for remarks to begin, and now we have been told that those remarks would start at 11. It is currently 11:21, so we are on standby waiting to hear word of when this news conference will start. In the meantime, I do just want to leave you with this live look as we continue to wait for the attorneys and the father of newborn Chance, who now has sole parental rights and now is taking care of the child. But of course, the father, whose name is Adrian Harden, saying he wants to speak out and continue to talk about the difficult and emotional process of having to go this route through Georgia's legal system with the laws currently set in place. Now, I did just check in with our Atlanta News First reporter, Sarah Hammond, who is in this room here with us, taking us live to these remarks whenever they begin. No timeline just yet. I do believe they are still setting up and gathering everyone before remarks do begin for this news conference. However, in the meantime, I wanted to share with you an earlier conversation we had with the grandmother of baby Chance and the mother of Adriana Smith, who shared her own heartbreak over these months of turmoil.
Very heartbreaking. We try to be strong. You know, it's very hard. It's very hard. For me and my family, it's very hard.
Yeah, again, you can only imagine what the family has had to navigate here. And as we take you back out live inside of this law firm for the Better Law firm representing Adrian Harden, the father of the newborn child, whose name we're told is Chance, as well as the now the sole guardian of the young newborn. We are still waiting to hear from his attorneys, possibly from him. We haven't been told definitively if he is going to make statements, but we do know that he is calling for change in existing Georgia law surrounding what this family has had to deal with and go through. And for those of you just joining us, just wanted to walk you through some of this backstory as we wait for remarks to begin. This is what is going to be a news conference surrounding the attorneys and the father of a newborn child whose mother was placed on life support after suffering a medical emergency and being declared brain dead. Now, she was kept on life support in compliance with Georgia state abortion law until the child was born 4 months later. Now, once the child was born, Adriana Smith, the mother, was taken off of life support and she had passed. However, the father of the child, Adrian Harden, had to posthumously sue the mother to get sole parental rights to the newborn. So we are just waiting again for those remarks to begin. You can see a few of the journalists and photojournalists setting up, making sure that mics and audio are in good standing before we start to see the attorneys trickle in, as well as members of the family. And this has been, again, over 4 months since Adriana Smith was placed on life support. And since the baby was born, again, a lot has happened since then. Now calls for change to make sure that no family has to go through something like this ever again. And I do believe the attorneys for Adrian Harden, the father of the child, partner of Adriana Smith, I do believe those remarks are about to begin. So we're going to take you inside of this law firm office and listen in now.
Are you ready? Good morning, everyone. I am Melanie Davis, the founding attorney and CEO of Better Law Divorce Lawyers. On behalf of Mr. Adrian Harden and my entire team, I want to thank everyone for being present. Here with me today, I have Adriana Gonzalez, the firm's managing attorney and the lead attorney handling the Adrian Harden versus Adriana Smith matter. I also have with me Mr. Harden. The tragic story of Adriana Smith and her then unborn baby made international and national news. That news shook the world. The world learned that Adriana Smith was a 30-year-old African-American mother who was a nurse who was 9 weeks pregnant. The world learned that Adriana's boyfriend took her to seek medical treatment at Northside Hospital for severe headaches she was suffering. The world learned that Adriana was only given medication and sent home with her boyfriend. The world learned that Adriana's boyfriend found her the next morning unresponsive and gasping for air. The world learned Adriana's boyfriend ensured she was taken to another hospital, Emory University Hospital, where a CT scan was performed and revealed that she had multiple blood clots in her brain. The world learned that Adriana was declared brain dead on February 19th of this year. The world learned that baby Chance was miraculously born by C-section on June 13th of this year. The world learned that unfortunately, Adriana was removed from life support, and 4 days later, she unfortunately passed away. There was a lot of finger pointing, conspiracy theories, lots of conjecture on this law, that law. One thing we never heard anything about was Adriana's boyfriend, the man who took her to seek medical treatment, the man that found her gasping for air, struggling to survive, the man that ensured she went to another hospital for medical treatment, the man that was by her side, the father of her then unborn baby, her boyfriend, her support system. There was no public display of empathy nor concern for the mental and emotional well-being of the father that was there when Adriana suffered this great loss. It was not until last Friday that the world became aware of who Adrian Harden is. The tragic story of Adriana Smith and her unborn baby hit the news February of this year. Only one person had the wherewithal and thought to ask, what about the boyfriend that was there with her? What about baby Chance's father? That one person was Tanel Hobbs of the New York Times. She was the only individual to contact our law firm about this case. What's shocking is our court records here in Georgia are public. Anyone could have searched her name and found this case. The public's lack of concern and lack of awareness for Mr. Harden and what he has experienced unfortunately and fortunately allowed him to grieve somewhat in peace. It allowed us to protect him and to protect his interests in peace. The reason why we are here and why this is so important is we want people to reflect on their personal views in reference to unwed fathers, more specifically, unwed African American fathers. I'm not suggesting that the terrible loss of Adriana Smith and the unfortunate circumstance of her baby should have received less attention. What I am suggesting and encouraging each person who hears my voice to consider whether or not he was deserving of more care and empathy, even in his unknown and unnamed status. I also want people to consider the law that we're here to talk about. Mr. Harden did not have any legal rights to his biological son, Chance Harden. He had no rights whatsoever, even in a tragic situation where the mother has passed. So while he's worrying about the uncertain future of his medically fragile baby, Mr. Harden is confronted with the fact that legally he could potentially not be able to take his baby home. Why, you ask? Because Mr. Harden did not have any legal rights. Here in Georgia, if a father has a child with a woman he is not married to, that father has no legal rights whatsoever. It does not matter if he signed the baby's birth certificate. It doesn't matter if there's a positive DNA test. It doesn't matter if that child bears his last name. Unless he marries the mother or sues her, the father has absolutely no legal rights, even in a tragic situation such as this. Under no circumstance should a grieving father have to sue the deceased mother of his child for basic parental rights. Basic parental rights. When I say basic parental rights, I am speaking of the ability and the authority to have a say in the rearing and raising of your child. When I say basic legal rights, I'm talking about the ability to have parenting time and a full-fledged relationship with your child. These are the hallmarks of our community. In hundreds and thousands of unwed fathers have unreasonable barriers preventing them from having access and a relationship with their children. It is our hope that this unfortunate story involving Adriana and baby Chance, and now Mr. Harden in this landmark legitimation action, will shed some light on a very, very important legal issue. And I would ask everyone to consider whether it is fair for one father to be treated differently than a father who has secured a $60 marriage license. Should that be the hurdle for men who want to parent their children? Thank you all. I'd like to turn this over to Adriana Gonzalez, our managing attorney.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know how I'm going to follow that up. I am Adriana Gonzalez. I am the managing attorney at Better Law, and I was the lead attorney assigned to Mr. Harden's case. So I am going to speak to a little bit of the procedural history and just some personal thoughts that I have on the matter. So Mr. Harden retained our office in July of this year, at the end of July, and we immediately went into filing an emergency petition for legitimation and establishment of sole legal and physical custody on his behalf. That happened in early August. Baby Chance at that time was expected to be released from the NICU in mid-September, and so we diligently followed up with the court, and we were able to secure an emergency hearing in only a matter of a week or so. And that hearing was held on August 27th, and a temporary order was entered granting Mr. Harden temporary sole legal and physical custody of the child. Now, unfortunately, we were required to perfect service on the grandparents in that matter, and unfortunately, we were not able to find any contact information for them. We did have to retain a private investigator. We were not able to get any information for the maternal grandfather. We were, however, able to get Miss Newkirk served, and so that was completed on October 22nd, and unfortunately, we did not hear from her. Our office did reach out once prior to getting her served, and unfortunately, she indicated that she was represented by an attorney. She declined to provide that information to us when I asked what that attorney's contact information was so that we could reach out directly and perhaps ask that he acknowledge service on her behalf. But again, that information was not provided, and to date, we have not heard from Ms. Newkirk or an attorney on her behalf. But we are proud to announce that under the tragic circumstances that brought Mr. Harden to our office, that we have been able to secure a final order from the court granting him sole legal and physical custody of Baby Chance. And prior to the legal recognition that he received throughout this process, thankfully, Mr. Harden was already involved in Baby Chance's life and his care, but knowing that he has established his legal rights to be involved and be recognized as a legal parent has provided a layer of security and certainty for him, and I am so honored, and our firm is so honored to have been a part of that process for him. As a mother myself, I cannot imagine anything more important than ensuring a child has a safe and loving home and access to parents who are willing and able to care for them and promote their best interests. That's what we as attorneys always want. You know, when you're a parent and an attorney, it hits a little bit differently, and you're coming with a little bit of a different perspective. And I personally walk into every courtroom, not just as a lawyer and wearing my lawyer hat, but as a parent. I wear my mother hat when I'm walking in, and that definitely adds a different perspective, and it changes how I approach my cases and how I empathize with my clients and how I see situations, and it undoubtedly affects the way I fight for all of the families that I represent, and I can say that for all of the attorneys at Better Law. And this case, however, it hit home in an exceptionally personal way. At the time that this case came to our office, it felt somewhat like kismet. Like the rest of the world, I was following the story. I was feeling emotional. I was, very moved by the facts of this case that were undoubtedly unique. And I couldn't also help but notice similarities between us, other than our names, right? So we have very similar names. I am a mother to a toddler, and I am currently expecting my second. And under the circumstances and the similarities between us, I couldn't help but put my lawyer hat on and say, wow, that's a terrible situation. Wow, I hope someone helps this man establish his rights. And then Mr. Harden did come to our office. And as a mother, I put my mother hat on and said, what if that was my child? What if that was my husband? And what if that was my family? And they were navigating that situation. How would I want someone to show up for them? What would I want someone to do for them? And Mr. Harden, as many clients do, he came to us at a very, very vulnerable time with the law against him, everything on the line, and no clue where to even start or how to help himself. And he had the particularly complicating layer of navigating unimaginable grief with the story displayed for the world to watch. The law should open doors for parents and not slam them closed during a person's most vulnerable time. Mr. Harden, like all parents and fathers in particular, deserve a level of certainty when it comes to the safety and the well-being of their children. And in this case, we absolutely made sure that need was met. And again, we're so honored to have been a part of Mr. Harden's story, and we're so happy for baby Chance's recovery and his progress. And we thank you all for your time.
I thank everybody for coming. You know, it's a difficult time for, me and my family. I appreciate everything, all the support. As a man, as a father, I'm simply standing here just before y'all and thank y'all for all the support, all the love, all the prayers. I want to thank everybody for, dedicating and all the support, all the help. I really appreciate it. I really don't know too much to say because it's a lot, but I appreciate it. I appreciate them. I appreciate all my lawyers, all the help. Oh, man. But I appreciate it. And I cherish every moment with my son, and I'm so proud of my girl, my baby, because I know she'll love to see him. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate everybody.
Mr. Harden, can we ask you just to share for fathers out there who perhaps are facing a similar fight, what this whole ordeal has been like for you, not only grieving your partner, but then having to fight for your son? I just want to make sure he got everything he needs. Whatever, for all the men that actually care for their child, that's all we want. Just make sure he got the best. Make sure he know that I'm there for him. And try to do whatever I can in my power to, be there for him. And how is he doing?
He's getting better. He's getting better. My boy is strong. He's a strong boy. He's definitely came a long way, and we got some things to get strong on. But he gonna definitely beat it though. He definitely gonna beat it.
Now that you have sole legal custody, what are you looking forward to? Spending time with him and kind of the future of y'all's life together.
For me, I just take everything day at a time. So I don't really try to look too far in the future. Right now, I just look at him and I see his mama. I see he got a lot of life and a lot of spirit. So I just keep that going. That's it.
Perhaps one of the attorneys might answer this question. Based on this case, will you all be pursuing or working with any lawmakers to pursue legislation this next session? We're only weeks out.
Thank you so much for that question. We're most certainly hoping that this tragic story and this landmark legitimation case opens up a conversation with legal minds, the community, and our legislators under the Gold Dome. It is our desire for change in our laws, and we're hoping that this case is the catalyst for that. We think that it is very, very, very unfortunate, and it hurts children, it hurts parents, and it hurts communities that these laws put unnecessary legal barriers against unwed fathers. Unfortunately, but not surprisingly, these laws disproportionately affect low-income and minority fathers. Essentially, what we are saying, what our laws dictate, is that an unwed father has to expend resources and time in suing the mother of their children. Is that right? Is that right? And it's our hope that this press conference will cause people to ponder that exact question. So yes, we are absolutely hoping and will be fighting for changes in our laws. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our press conference. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching ANF Plus. For more breaking news, live coverage, and your community stories, download the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. To join the conversation on YouTube Live, visit our channel and hit subscribe. You can also listen to the Atlanta News First podcast by searching Atlanta News First on your preferred listening platform.